All right, welcome back. Let's start with this example. We want to approximate the area under the function f of x equals x squared plus 2 from 0 to 10 using 5 rectangles and the midpoint rule. Okay, and so when we use the midpoint rule to approximate the area under a function, that means that when we are using these rectangles, we are using a point in the middle of the top of that rectangle. And that is opposed to using the left or right corners or the left and right endpoints of that rectangle that you would do for a left or right Riemann sum. And so then we have the graph of our function over here. This is x squared plus 2. And we want to find this area right here from 0 to 10. And so that would be this region that I am shading in right here. All right, so then the formula that we use to calculate the area using rectangles is the following. We have that the area is equal to delta x, the width of our rectangles, times the sum from I equals 1 to n, where n is the number of rectangles, of the function evaluated at x sub I, where this represents the height of each of our rectangles. And so if you're not familiar with this formula, I would recommend that you watch our first video where we talk about approximating the area under a curve, and that would be our lesson on left and right Riemann sums. I'll have that linked here for you to click on. But we know that delta x, the width of our rectangles, is equal to b minus a divided by n, the number of rectangles, where b and a come from our interval, right? So if we have an interval from a to b, that means that a would be 0 and b would be 10. And so then what would our value of n be? Well, we're told that we're going to be using 5 rectangles, and so that means that n is going to be equal to 5. And so delta x in this case will be equal to 10 minus 0 divided by 5, which is equal to 10 divided by 5, and so that means delta x is equal to 2. All right, and so now we know that our rectangles are going to have a width of 2, so that means every 2 values of x, we are going to have a new rectangle. And remember, we're going to be using 5 of them, and so let's draw those 5 rectangles on our graph here. And so since their widths are going to be 2, I'll mark off every second value. So we'll have 2, 4, 6, and 8. And so if we're going to draw these rectangles in here, remember that we are using the midpoint rule, so that means we are using the middle of the top part of our rectangle. And so our first rectangle will look like this, and then we'll have our second rectangle, and then our third rectangle, our fourth rectangle, and our fifth rectangle. And so what you'll notice is for each of these rectangles that I just drew in, our function intersects these rectangles in the middle of their tops, right? It doesn't touch the corners, it touches the middle between those two corners. And so our points of intersection would be here, 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 and here, right? Those are our midpoints. That's why this is called the midpoint rule. And so then the x values of each of these midpoints are going to be our values of x sub I. And so if we want to figure out what the x values of those midpoints are, all we have to do is look at that middle value between the edges of our rectangle, right? Our first rectangle goes from 0 to 2, so that middle value would be 1. And then for our second rectangle, it goes from 2 to 4, so that middle value would be 3. And then we could do that for the rest of the rectangles. And so what we would find is that our x values would be 1, 3, 5, 7, and 9. Right? And so each of these values of x, 1, 3, 5, 7, and 9, are the x values for our midpoints of each rectangle. And so these are our values of x sub I that we're going to plug into our function that will give us the height of each of these rectangles, right? If I plug in 1 into the function, I'll get this y value, which is the height of this rectangle. And that would be the same for the rest of these rectangles for 3, 5, 7, and 9. Plugging these values into your function will give you these y values, or the height of each of the rectangles. And so our area is going to be equal to delta x, which we said was 2. And so we're going to have 2 times the sum of those values of x sub I plugged into our function. So we'll have f of 1 plus f of 3 plus f of 5 plus f of 7 plus f of 9. And that is what we're going to use to approximate the area underneath this function from 0 to 10. And so this will be equal to 2 times 1 plugged into our function. So we have 1 squared plus 2, so that would be equal to 3. Then we will add 3 plugged into this function. So we have 3 squared plus 2, so that would be 9 plus 2. So we'll have 11, and then we will add that to 5 plugged into this function. So you'll have 5 squared, which is 25, plus 2, so that would be 27. And then we will add 7 plugged into this function, so you'll have 7 squared, which is 49, plus 2, so that's 51. So we'll have 51 there. And then we will add 9 plugged into the function. And so we will have 9 squared, which is 81, plus 2, which is 83. All right, and so if we add up all of these numbers, this will be equal to 2 times 175, and that will be equal to 350. And so that would be the approximate area from 0 to 10 underneath this function, right? That is the area of all of these rectangles. And so if you're curious how close this approximate value is to the actual area under this function, what we could do is integrate x squared plus 2 from 0 to 10 with a definite integral, and that would give us the exact area. And so if you want to see that work, I'll have it up here on the screen for you to look at, so you can pause the video and look over the work. But as you can see, our approximate value using the midpoint rule is fairly close to the actual area underneath our function from 0 to 10. All right, and so with that, let's look at our next example. All right, so for our next example, we want to approximate the area under the function f of x equals 27 minus x cubed from 0 to 3 using 3 rectangles and the midpoint rule. All right, so this time we don't have a graph of our function. We're just going to do this without the graph. And the first thing that we want to do is write down our area formula. So we know that the area is equal to delta x, the width of our rectangles, times the sum from I equals 1 to n, the number of rectangles, of the function evaluated at x sub I. All right, and so let's start by calculating delta x. We know that delta x is equal to b minus a divided by n. And in this case, the number of rectangles n is 3, right? We're going to be using 3 rectangles. So I'll write down that n is equal to 3. And then we know that b and a correspond to our interval. And so if we have an interval from a to b, we have an interval from 0 to 3. So that means a is 0 and b is 3. And so this will be equal to 3 minus 0 divided by 3, which is equal to 3 divided by 3, which is equal to 1. And so in this case, delta x is just equal to 1. All right, and so then the only thing that we need to figure out yet is our values of x sub I. And so to find those without having the graph, what we're going to do is draw a number line, and that's going to help us figure out what these values are. So if I draw a number line here, we're going to want to label our two endpoints, right? We were trying to find the area from 0 to 3, right? These are our values of x. And so if I label 0 and 3, and we're going to have 3 rectangles with a width of 1, then let's divide this number line into 3 equal sections of 1. And so that's going to be pretty simple. Since we're just going from 0 to 3, we can make 3 equal sections by just labeling 1 and 2 on this number line. So we'll have 1 and 2. All right, and so now that we have our 3 subintervals where our rectangles would be, right, if this was the x-axis of our graph, we would have a rectangle here between 0 and 1, then we would have a second rectangle between 1 and 2, and a third rectangle between 2 and 3. And so in order to find the x value of the midpoints of those rectangles, we just have to add our 2 bounds for each rectangle together and divide by 2. And so for our first subinterval, or our first rectangle, we'll have 0 plus 1 divided by 2, and that will be equal to 1/2. And so our first midpoint will be 1/2. And then for our second subinterval, we'll have 1 plus 2 divided by 2, and that will be equal to 3 divided by 2. So that means that our next midpoint would be 3/2. And then for our last subinterval, we will have 2 plus 3 divided by 2, which is equal to 5 divided by 2. And so that means that our last midpoint will be 5/2. All right, so these 3 midpoints that we just found are our values of x sub I that we will be plugging into our function here. And so the area will be equal to delta x, which we said is 1. So we'll just have 1 times the sum of our values of x sub I plugged into our function, which is 27 minus x cubed. So we'll have f of 1/2 plus f of 3/2 plus f of 5/2, right? That is each of our values of x sub I that we found plugged into our function. All right, and so then this will be equal to 1/2 plugged into our function. And so that'll give us 27 minus 1/2 cubed. And then we will add 3/2 plugged into our function. So we'll have 27 minus 3/2 cubed. And then we will have 5/2 plugged into this function. And so we'll have 27 minus 5/2 cubed. And so if we clean up our work here, we can simplify this. And we'll have that this is equal to 27 minus 1/8, right? If we cube 1, we get 1. And then if we cube 2, we get 8. and then we'll add another 27, and then we will subtract 3 cubed divided by 2 cubed, and so 3 cubed is 27, and 2 cubed is 8, and then we will add another 27, and then subtract 5 cubed divided by 2 cubed, and so we will have 125, that's 5 cubed, divided by 8. All right, and so then if we clean up our work again, we can add up these 3 27s, and that will be equal to 81. And then notice that all of our fractions have a denominator of 8, and so they can be added together, and so we would have minus 153 divided by 8. And so then if you subtract 153 eighths from 81, this will be equal to 495 eighths, which would be equal to 61.875 in decimal form. And so this would be our approximate value for the area under this function from 0 to 3. All right, and so then just like our last problem, if you're curious in knowing how close this approximation is to the actual area under the curve or under the function, I will put the work here up on the screen of solving the definite integral that will give you that actual area. And so you can see how close our approximation is to the actual area. And once again, you will see that the midpoint rule gets us a pretty good approximation of that area. Okay, and so you can pause the video if you want to view that work, but if not, we will move into our last example. All right, so for our last example, we want to approximate the area under the function f of x equals the square root of x from 1 to 25 using 4 rectangles and the midpoint rule. And so we'll start by writing down our area formula. We know that the area is equal to delta x, the width of our rectangles, times the sum from I equals 1 to n, the number of rectangles, of our function evaluated at our values of x sub I, and that represents the height of our rectangles. All right, and so then let's move on to calculating delta x, that is equal to b minus a divided by n. And in this case, our values of a and b are going to be 1 and 25, right? If we have an interval from a to b, that means that a is 1 and b is 25. And in this case, n is going to be 4 because we're using 4 rectangles in this problem. So we have n equals 4, which means that delta x will be equal to 25 minus 1 divided by 4, which is equal to 24 divided by 4, which is equal to 6. And so delta x is equal to 6 in this case, which means each of our rectangles is going to have a width of 6. And so let's figure out our values of x sub I next by drawing out our number line. And so if we draw a number line here, I will label the endpoints of 1 and 25. So we'll have 1 and 25. And so then we know that each of our rectangles is going to have a width of 6. And so to figure out our subintervals here, we will add 6 to 1. And so that will give us a value of 7 as our next endpoint. And then we will add 6 again to get 13. And then we will add another 6 to get 19. And then if we add 6 again, we will get 25. And so here we have our 4 subintervals that represent where each of our 4 rectangles would be while having that width of 6. And so if we want to use the midpoint rule, we need to figure out the midpoint of each of these subintervals. And so what we'll do is we'll add the endpoints together for each interval and divide by 2. And so our first one will be 1 plus 7 divided by 2. That will be equal to 8 divided by 2. So we'll have 4. And so 4 will be our first midpoint. And then for our next one, we'll have 7 plus 13 divided by 2, which is our 2 endpoints here. And so 7 plus 13 is 20, divided by 2 is equal to 10. And so that means our next midpoint would be 10. And then for our next subinterval, we will have 13 plus 19 divided by 2. And 13 plus 19 is going to be 32. And so if we divide that by 2, that will be equal to 16. And so our next midpoint is 16. And I didn't leave myself enough space for our last one, so let me just erase this one here. And we will add 19 plus 25 divided by 2 to get our midpoint for our last subinterval. And 19 plus 25 is 44. And so 44 divided by 2 is equal to 22. And so our last midpoint is 22. All right, so let's clean up our work here. And now that we have our values of x sub I, we have 4 of them, which makes sense because we are using 4 rectangles. So we should have 4 midpoints or 4 values of x sub I. And so we'll have that our area is equal to delta x, which is 6. So we'll have 6 times each of these values plugged into our function added together. So we'll have f of 4 plus f of 10 plus f of 16 plus f of 22. All right, and so now we can evaluate each of these values of x sub I from our number line into our function. And so this will be equal to 6 times the square root of 4 plus the square root of 10 plus the square root of 16 plus the square root of 22, right? We just plugged each of these values into our square root function. And so if we clean up our work here, we can then simplify this, and we'll have that this is equal to 6 times the square root of 4, which we know is 2, plus the square root of 10, which we're not going to be able to simplify, so we'll just have the square root of 10. And then the square root of 16 we know is 4, and then we will add the square root of 22, which, just like the square root of 10, we can't really simplify that, and so we'll just have the square root of 22. And so then we could add 2 and 4 together, and that would just give us 6. And so I'll just rewrite this to be 6, and then we will just add that square root of 22. And then if we were to plug this into our calculator, 6 times 6 plus the square root of 10 plus the square root of 22, that would approximately be equal to 83.116. And so that would be our approximate value of the area under this function, the square root of x, from 1 to 25. All right, and so then one more time, just like we did for our other examples, we can compare this approximation to the actual area under the function using a definite integral. And so I'll put that work up here on the screen for you to look at. You can pause the video and look over it. And once again, you can see that our approximation is fairly close to the actual area under the function from 1 to 25. All right, and so that was the last example for this video. If you have any questions, feel free to leave those in the comments. But if you don't have any questions, this is all I had for now. So I will see you next time.